What is going on, kings and queens of this wonderful wonderland that we call YouTube? So if there's two things that I do my damnedest to try and avoid when making content for this channel, it would be controversy and politics. Excuse me. When it comes to controversy, I stand much more in the camp of leave well enough alone and let people handle their own crap. And when it comes to politics, you know, there's a very deep-seated hatred there. I despise politics with everything in my being, and I never claim to really know too much about politics, so I just keep my mouth shut when it comes to that. But today we're going to be tackling a little bit of both controversy and politics, because as the title of this video says, today we're going to be bringing up the JonTron controversy. Now, if you don't know what the JonTron controversy is, recently the YouTuber JonTron got into a debate with a fellow streamer by the name of Destiny, where he shared some of his ideas and opinions on immigration, more specifically the idea of assimilation through immigration. And it was a debate that got a lot of people heated at John. You know, the YouTube community kind of blew up, and really they're at John's throat right now. So yeah. You might be asking yourself, though, why am I wanting to discuss something like this if I don't want to? Why am I willing to make an exception for JonTron? And I think really that is because I'm a fan. And in saying that, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I'm not here to try and support John or defend John's arguments in any way. Because I really disagree with a lot of things he said, and a lot of ways he said them. But I think the main goal of this video and the main goal of me talking about this issue is to try and clarify John's core argument. And in saying that, I have to say that I'm not entirely stable with that because, it was just kind of my interpretation of the debate and kind of, I watched the debate, I listened to the whole thing, and after sifting through the bullshit, if you will, this is kind of my interpretation of John's core argument that got lost to just the utter train wreck that this debate was for John. So yeah, my intention is to just kind of clarify and discuss what I think JonTron's argument in this debate was. So that's where we're going to start, and then we'll go into where I think JonTron went wrong in this argument. So right off the bat, this debate came up because JonTron decided to tackle the kind of touchy subject of immigration into the United States, which in of itself is very, very weird because as long as I've been a fan of JonTron, I've never known him to discuss politics. He's a funny guy that makes funny content, and that's why I watch him. And he's never really been politically loud, if you will. But for whatever reason, he is now. And just knowing that about John, it made it very weird to find out that he's gotten himself into this situation. So I think John's argument is rather clean and straightforward and agreeable in a lot of points. He expressed some concerns of not wanting the American culture to dissipate in our own country, not wanting the American culture to become the minority in our own country, not wanting the American culture to kind of bend a knee and kind of throw itself away to appease immigrants that come into this country. I think that's what his base argument is, and I really have to agree with that point. As a very patriotic and prideful American, as somebody that loves this country, as somebody who has had family members at different points in time fight to defend the values and the freedoms and rights that we have as Americans, it would suck to see all that go out the window to appease an immigrant, so to speak, and I don't think it's right to have to do that. We shouldn't have to change ourselves as Americans just to make somebody that comes here feel at home and feel like they fit in and feel like they're accepted. On one point that Destiny made, I do think it is important that people keep their traditions and their cultures and their heritage and be proud of that, because that is what makes this country so great. And that's what makes it so cool to have all these different countries represented within the United States, because with all the diversity that we bring to the table, we have the opportunity to share and learn from each other, and really kind of grow together as one united people. And I think that is extremely important. And I think John, as well as I think John was just trying to explain the fact that he wants people that immigrate here to be as proud of the country they are in, be as proud to be an American as you are of the country that you came from. Have that same type of pride for being an American, and it's something that you can't really escape from once you come here. If you're French and you step foot in America as a citizen, you are French American, you're Italian American, you're Native American, African American, whatever. That is what you are. And you are part of our nation. You are a part of our people. And we love the diversity and the differences that each and every one of you have. But there's a very practical fear, I think, in his argument that he doesn't want to bow down and lose the American way of life just so an immigrant can come in and say, well, you live your way, we'll live ours. That's not the way America works, and it's not the way it should work now or ever. So I think, had his argument been explained the way that I just did, in that way, I think, people would have found it, like I said, clean, straightforward, and agreeable to some. But for whatever reason, he chose to take a very strange and colorful route to try and connect his argument to, what he was saying. And this just ended up to be a massive mess of verbiage. Nothing made a whole lot of sense. The examples that he was using to make his case didn't make any sense or connect in any sort of way. And he brought up some really weird left field ideas He was talking about gene pools and tribalism and just really strange things, really complicated things for such an easy argument. I think, like I said, his argument is very clear and straightforward. If he just would have went in there and said, I'm concerned as an American that we are going to lose our American culture to kind of appease a mass number of immigrants. And, I feel like when immigrants come here, they should assimilate to a point to become Americans that are proud of not only where they are, but where they've come from. I think something along that line is very simple to come out and say. And he failed to do that. And the reason why he failed to do that is he made he made quite a few mistakes, but one very, very fatal one at the beginning of the debate. What he's discussing is something I believe to be a national issue. You're discussing America and the American culture as a whole. And instead he took the route of making a national issue a nationality issue, which is a huge no-no. Instead of referring to it as the American culture, preserving the American culture and the American way of life, he went so far as to refer to it as the preserving the white culture and the white American way of life. And right off the bat, I don't know what white culture even is. It's not something that has ever existed to me and never will. So I don't know exactly where he got this idea of white culture, but it was a mistake, and a big one at that. And I think, he started the debate on the wrong foot, so of course he's going to end it in the wrong foot, because that is a mistake that is very difficult and damn near impossible to come back from, and he didn't. And it seemed like the more he talked, the more he tried to clarify, the more in-depth and stuff that he went with his argument, he just talked more and more out of his ass, and by the end of the argument, or the debate, if you will, he just came across as a very ignorant, racist idiot, which I don't think was his intention. I don't think he meant to come across that way. I don't think he meant for the debate to go this way. I think he just talked himself into a hole from the get-go and doomed himself. And the more he said, the more he crucified himself and kind of buried himself in his words. And why is that? I think really the reason why he got so lost in the cluster F of words that he was spewing is because I don't think he knew how to debate. I don't think he knew how to successfully stand by his argument and give examples that supported his argument. And I really don't, I'm not even 100% sure if he was clear on what his argument was after a certain point. I think he was just kind of grasping at straws and trying to survive, because he got very dodgy of some of Destiny's points and questions, and he was denying historical facts and kind of demographics of things, and just things that you can't deny. He was denying. Because I think, like I said, he backed himself into a irreversible corner on this issue, and he crucified himself. uh, which is disappointing. You know, I don't know why he went the route he did. I don't know why he said the things he did, because to me it seems relatively straightforward. As if to say, you know, all you have to say is, as an American, like I said, as an American, I'm afraid of losing the American culture to immigration and becoming something that we're not. Which, like I said, very simple, very clean argument, and he got lost within himself. Now, you know, in terms of being a JonTron fan and how I feel about his words, am I going to be somebody that hates on JonTron and gives up on him entirely and unsubscribes and never watches him again? No. Because you have to remember that John is an American that has a right to an opinion, and all he did was voice his opinion, and he did so very, very poorly. You know, his what probably seemed to be a very, very clear and straightforward argument, like mine would be, ended up to be a complete mess of words and incoherent thoughts and sentences, and just a mess. But that's not going to deter me as a fan. I'm not watching or interested in JonTron for his political prowess, you know, and his stances on things. I watch him because, like I said, he's a funny guy that makes funny content, and that's why I'm subscribed to his channel. And I'm taking it on good faith that he didn't mean to come across as that ignorant, racist idiot. He just made a mistake, as is human nature. You know, and I'm running on good faith that all this was a mistake. So yeah, I think, you know, at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to personal opinion. If you want to check out the whole debate, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can kind of form your own opinions. And if you're somebody that has seen these and is completely disgusted by them, I understand. You know, and I'm not going to murder you because you don't want anything to do with JonTron anymore. I personally just am holding this more up to a very human mistake. We all misspeak. We all say things we don't mean. And I think he just kind of caught himself in a bad spot and couldn't defend himself anymore. Which I guess to end this video, the one piece of advice that I would give, you know, is definitely, if you don't know what you're talking about, don't talk about it. And if you are going to talk about it, definitely make sure you know what your argument is. Make sure you state it clearly. Make sure you've got things to back it up so you don't paint yourself in these corners and get yourself in these situations that can basically destroy you in no amount of time at all in the public eye. But I just ask that, you know, you remember that JonTron is probably feeling the way a lot of us are. You know, I think he's an American that's a little bit disgruntled and kind of fed up with our government and our political system and how they're doing things. And he had an opinion that he voiced, that he stood up for, and he just did it very, very extremely poorly. So yeah, I'll leave you with that. So until next time, as always, ladies and gentlemen, I salute you, and remember, we're all mad here.